Welcome to the realest podcast you'll ever listen to. I'm LT.
I'm Kiki.
And we're here to talk blunt.
Black ladies, unequivocally North Tulsa. Let's talk blunt talk.
All right, Sean, you got some politics to talk for us?
How do y'all feel about the election that's coming up?
I'm going to let LT do that.
I am trying my best to stay out of all the debates around the politics because this is going to be a very important election. I'm just going to start there. I'm going to say, I'm not going to necessarily get into the candidates, but I'm going to say this is an important election. I'm going to say that people fought for our rights to vote, and we need to make sure that we vote. What I'm also going to say is that, this is all I'm going to say, I'm not even going to drop no names, but I'm just going to say there is no such thing as black jobs. That's what I'm going to say.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs, those black jobs, one of those black jobs, those black jobs, one of those black jobs, those black jobs, one of those black.
We need to vote, because if you think the rhetoric is just rhetoric, you sleeping. Democracy is at risk, and we are not going back. So I believe that everybody has a voice. We've heard both parties speak and express their opinions about the border, about abortion, about healthcare. And we get, I think this week or next week is debate with both presidential candidates. So that'll be very interesting and necessary to watch as Americans. And I think we need to be mindful that there are outside entities that want to control what happens in our country. It's not, like myth or whatnot. And those entities need to be dealt with. And we need to do our part as citizens and make sure that we exercise our rights to vote.
Yeah, I'm personally just still struggling with January 6th.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll forever be in history. And to me, it's in my opinion, we don't even have an election and choices. It's very clear. It's very clear. January 6th is very clear to me.
I think
when a person show you who they are, you need to believe them. You're not going to get something different, no matter how we dress it up and how we make it look.
Do you want to crook for a president? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to say when they
think on that. Yeah. You may never watch Blunt Talk again, but I just would prefer not to have someone who has a criminal record speak on my behalf.
I prefer not to have somebody who think there are jobs that are limited for black people.
Well, he did try to clean it up and say all jobs, but
no. But you said they're taking black people's job. Well, what defines black people's job? I had a problem with that before the new candidate stepped in, and I'm not Democratic or Republican. Let me make that very clear. I'm not either one. I'm independent. I had a problem with, and I will always have a problem with, labeling what is deemed a black job. I think any job I set my mind on is my black job.
I agree with that. Sean, since you brought it up, what's your 17-year-old mind thinking about the election?
I actually never really. I think the concept of politics is necessary. I think how people argue about it is kind of stupid and kind of dumb. Because politics really separates households. It goes into a deeper level than just two people arguing about who's going to run the country and who's going to do more. Some people copy each other's ideas. At the end of the day, everybody's human and everybody's done bad things. I've heard some rumors about Kamala. I've heard things about Trump. I don't side with either one. No one's really picked my interest for real. reason why I like politics is for the drama and the plot. Um, I only really like it because, of course, Housewives of Atlanta. My sister makes me watch that, and I kind of like it a little bit. So that's the reason why I really like politics.
So you think Housewives of Atlanta is political?
Not really. I think it's they argue. They have just as much drama as each other.
I actually somewhat agree with what you just said, which is why I try my best to stay. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate political season.
So you and Mr. Wilson don't have.
No, hold on. Let me go back.
Okay.
I hate. Let me be clear. I hate political season because I know what's going to happen in my house. I know where the TV is going to be, and I know all of what I'm going to have to hear. And sometimes I just want to turn it off. I don't want to hear all the nonsense. As Sean just said, it's a bunch of back and forth, and it causes division in places that it doesn't need to or have to cause division.
You're not the worst in people, honestly.
And you learn things about people. I'm just going to say we just need to. I think people just think about what we put out. Yeah.
Political views. I may not like your political view, but then you don't have to come and trash my house because I don't like your political view. I think sometimes it gets, well, no, not sometimes. It can get out of hand, and that's the part I don't like. And that's the part that is frightening for me is when it becomes unsafe.
Right.
Because I feel like yes, Mr. Wilson, you got something to say?
Yeah, I always got something to say, but
come to the mic.
Everybody's ignoring me.
Come to
So, all of this has been interesting, of course. My question is, so we're talking about in this election abortion, and we're talking about everything else that goes with it. The border
Women's
and
rights.
women's right. We'll just take the women's right. And so my question is, you got women's rights. You're talking about rights, specifically around abortion, and then you got somebody that the Democrats are trying to take your First Amendment rights away, freedom of speech. So, are we not still talking about freedom of choice either way? Freedom of speech is a freedom of choice. Birth control rights are a choice, a free choice. Those are the benefits that we get to have living in a democracy. So what is the disconnect that people can't understand both of them for what they are, even gun rights? So what's the disconnect why people can't understand or don't want to understand that they all are talking about individual rights?
So that's where I struggle with. It goes back to Sean said. That's where I struggle with both sides, because to your point, so a greater example is that we went through COVID with the vaccines, and everybody was like, there shouldn't be mandates on that. You should have a right what you do with your body. You can't force anybody to take vaccines. But the same people who said that turn around and now they want to take your right to make a decision about your body. And let's be very clear. I want to be very clear, because I think you introduced that. I am in no way endorsing or for abortions. No way. However, I don't get to tell you about it either.
I believe in a woman's right to choose. I have, I just think unless you walked in a person's shoes and understand what's going on, I believe in one of the conventions, they had a young lady there who had gotten pregnant by a relative and chose to have an abortion. Um, she was young when it happened. I want to say like 10 or 12. Those are hard stories. It's hard, and a lot of people, well, she just should have given it up for a death. Well, it's one of those things where you're not that 12-year-old person who just had one being violated, and as one of the governors like to say, we're going to put all the rapists in jail. No, how you going to put the rapists in jail if it's living in the house? So, I mean, I think that we have to be considerate of what's going on in our country and understand that people are being put in situations, children are being put in situations and being forced to have children. And that needs to be dealt with. It's a whole nother topic that we don't deal with as a country very well.
I agree with you, but and so this kind of goes back with those things that we don't talk about, because I feel like that if we did more talking and interventions, we could probably prevent some of the abortions that do happen. Because I also know that females like that, you don't just have that abortion and walk away from it. There is a lot of emotions and scars that people deal with for the rest of their lives. So did that 12-year-old or even the ones that was around her that helped make that decision understand the impact that was going to be on her life?
So understand her daddy coming in her room and having sex with her. That's number one.
And that needs to be.
And so to me, that's the issue. There's two issues here. There's a child carrying a baby that was fathered by a father or a relative, an uncle, a grandfather, whomever it is. It happens. It's real. And 12 is old. A lot of these kids, you can reach puberty at 10. So should that child want to have a baby, give it up for adoption, there's emotions that go wrong with that. So I'm absolutely always for the individual and what they have to live with. Because I can't tell a 10 or 12-year-old what it's like to be sexually abused by a relative and then have to carry that baby to term and then potentially have to get that baby up. I can't comment on that conversation.
A point that was brought up. I can't remember if Tanya, you made her or you Cam.
LT Kiki.
LT and Kiki. But people really don't know that's not our age, gender, what Planned Parenthood was really started for.
Right.
They Planned Parenthood, and people now just think, oh, well, you ask the average person in the street, what does Planned Parenthood do? Oh, they do abortions. No, Planned Parenthood started out to teach young women and men how to navigate growing up as young people and show them their options that if this happened, and they gave them counseling. It's so much more than what people had made it just an abortion clinic.
Right.
You bring up a good point, because the first time I went to a clinic was a Planned Parenthood clinic, and it was because I had never gone to a doctor before at that point and had a female exam. And so a lot of people don't understand they offer low cost or free services to people who can't afford them or didn't have or don't have primary care. So I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because that is very true. We've gotten away from some of the things that help with family planning and give young people a voice to say, hey, I'm interested in this. What do I need to do to protect myself? You had the privacy of Planned Parenthood at a very young age, to go to those social workers and counselors working there and get information. So I noticed.
Yeah, I think you missed the part where this was supposed to be a fun, let your hair down session, not a heavy topic, but
the 17-year-old brought politics into it.
I'll submit my question in writing.
I just brought it up because I see both sides of the ball. I see both sides of the playing field. I go to a predominantly white school in Texas, in the South, where everything is very much Trump supporter, Trump 2025. My closest friends are Trump supporters. Um, people just say all sorts of things over there. So I go back and forth across the tracks, and it's completely different in my household and other people's. So I was like seeing both sides of the ball, both people's shoes. You know.
It's a good comment. And on that, LT,
It's
I think it's a wrap.
it's a wrap. That's blunt talk.